Welcome to Good to Geek Out. Good place to go to geek out. Yeah, go there. I'm going to go there today. Boys, episodes 5 and 6 today. Uh, Editor San Antonio ready to cover the Seth Rogen cameo.
Seth Rogen.
Beautiful.
Hey, Robert Stoddard from San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
This is Glenn. This is Glenn from Washington. Night Thrasher J from Los Angeles, California. All those stuck in the
Yeah,
parts of Koreatown.
this is Big Greg, aka Nino Brown from West Hills.
All right.
TMB.
All we
That's all we
got. Man.
got.
All we got. Pop Claw, she got was OD, right? The there was a motif for this first episode 5 we're
For
covering.
sure.
It was the thing that I saw, since Rob was so big on the motifs last time. I was like, what's the motif here? Love. So you got many variations of love in this whole episode. First you have Pop Claw getting told I love you by A-Train right before he kills her. And then you get Homelander saying I love you to A-Train after he did what he had to do. And then from there's a lot of variations. There's the mom.
Homelander and Madeline.
Oh, first that's the immediate love.
Yeah.
There's Starlight and her mom. Starlight trying to tell her mom like, what's going on, and she's like, well, I invested in you this whole time, and so her love, parental love, and like that whole investment of parents becomes a question. Frenchie and the female who can't even communicate are somehow developing a bond and forming some kind of love, and then like as you said, Homelander is looking for love in all the right places.
Ezekiel goes skiing.
Oh, Ezekiel's.
Ezekiel goes skiing. Yeah.
And then tying into what you're talking about is also the love, like religious love, and like what religion makes you do and believe and say, and all that machine that's behind religion and everything else. That kind of sums it up a little bit, and you guys can jump wherever you want from there. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, and I think that you make a really strong point in your observations and the way that the themes break down. We've learned enough about these characters where we actually care about them. So they've used a really good pacing of the story to have the emotional anchors that have developed actually have some weight when things happen. When the climaxes of all of these different types of love occur, you end up noticing the manipulation that's involved in all of them. And some of it is genuine, sincerely coming from a place of concern. However, to gain these achievements, they all end up being handled in a different way. And the various types of love that you list are great because it does show all of the different forms. It does show all of the different forms that love can take and all the different ways that people want to receive love.
I mean, what I was going to say about the infatuation, I mean, now it's turning into a bond because at first with Frenchie and the female, it was infatuation. And yeah, I would definitely say that there's a machine. It shows that that there's a machine behind religion, and it actually shows projects that the faith that you follow is highly questionable.
At best.
Perfect day example. Pat Robertson, televangelist, just said that God told him that Trump was the chosen one and he's going to win the election. So my homeboy hit me up because he knows that I believe. And he's like, Greg, what you think about this? And I'm like, look, nothing he's saying is biblical. He's not a magician. He's a soothsayer. He's a false prophet. He's one of these dudes that's out, you know what I'm saying? You got starving people in your sanctuary, but you got a, you know what I'm saying? You got a G5 jet, right? You know what I'm saying? Come on. That's not biblical. You know what I'm saying? That's like this guy. He was like, but so if Trump wins, do you owe him an apology? I'm like, no. I'm like, look, it's two candidates really, right? It's if Trump wins, I mean, there's a fair percentage that might happen. That don't make this fool Yoda. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's funny because in these episodes they had a lot of religious overtones. You know, Homelander comparing himself to a god. You know what I'm saying? So much so that, you know, he even goes into the water and starts performing baptisms. Ezekiel was the pastor out there. I could stretch my arms out and hug the entire world. This fool evil as hell. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was funny, like they went about that and they made it about Starlight and her belief. Eventually she starts to question God, and then, you know, and it didn't, believe it or not, the Christians didn't even take her movement over. You know who took her movement over? Women's Lib. Women's Lib took her movement over, right? It's so it's interesting how they did it in these episodes and in the directions they chose to go. I mean, they could have went some, even for this show, some uncomfortable routes, and I think they did a good job of making it just uncomfortable and then moving on in different directions, so that, you know, even though, you know, they got their point across, you wanted to stay in the show without it being too polarizing.
It nails our perception of love. And again, like I said, how we give it and how we receive it. And even on this deified, divine level, how it's happening. But obviously there's these other things with the machinations behind the curtains, because people know that it's Compound V and people know that this isn't a divine thing, but it's still for the greater good that the story's kind of going out. Reminds me a bit of the Rick and Morty, like, no, don't tell people his myth will live on better, you know, like,
hold on, like I want to touch upon like what you guys are talking about too, like with the
jump in,
religion stuff. Yeah, I also thought it was interesting, like how fear played a big part in a lot of those encounters, right? Like, you know, A-Train offing Pop Claw. He's afraid for her and stuff, afraid of what she knows. And Huey, when he encounters Homelander, like there's a very palpable fear there. Mav talking to her partner, mainly with like out of fear of possibly losing her fucking humanity, right? In after the whole airplane sequence from the episode before. Starlight, battling with the fear of and repercussions of what might happen if she goes out and tells her truth. And then Homelander, right? Like Homelander coming up and speaking on Trump, catering to those conservative fears, right? About talking about foreigners and all that stuff, and kind of just really just going into on their fears to kind of further his goal. And then the babies, what was it? They were saying, was it a polio vaccine, right? They were masking Compound V as a polio vaccine. I mean, that baby Cyclops. Ah, man, that was dope though. Tight, man. That's tight.
Did you catch the part where like when the eye laser stopped, he shook the baby? He shook the baby like, come on, come on.
He's like 2 seconds away from smacking it in the back of the head. Like,
yeah, man. Oh, dude. No, I think that's pretty cool how they did it. It's just very sinister and subtle, right? And just very low key, very like conspiracy theory.
Before we leave the religion thing, I do want to say one last thing, that I would totally go to a Capes for Christ. I just want to see who shows up. Everyone's wearing capes. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so episode 6 is all these PR videos, right? We get to see. We're starting to see like the machine working for each one of these individual characters. But the beauty of it is you also get to see when the camera turns off and then turns back on. So you literally get to see behind the scenes and then become the viewer in this world watching the commercial and then see behind it. So like, you were talking about seeing behind the curtain before, I believe, like looking behind, Oz, like seeing the great Oz behind the curtain. Like we're seeing everything right now. And all the shit you see is pretty awesome. And then Seth Rogen pops
the
up.
Deep's apology.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
That I think that's the end of all of their PR things, and it hits that head where it's like even the finished product is shitty as the behind the scenes product, because they can't fix how bad this dude is.
credit to the character who plays the Deep, because he makes himself very unlikable without being hated. Like, I don't hate him, but he's just very, very unlikable. And it's not until you get done with it, you're like, you dislike the actor. And that's good acting. Because I was like, oh, I don't think I actually don't like you, but like, I don't like you.
I know, it's like when we were talking about Palm Springs, the girlfriend
Mhm.
from Palm Springs, like she just does a great job of making you not like her, but I don't hate her. Like, I don't look at her and be like, oh, I don't like you, but she does such a good job of delivering that. Yeah, I know what you mean, 100%.
Yo, but what about like Starlight confronting Madeline, right? About that, like really digging her heels in. I thought that was a really like just a nice intense scene. Like, hey, you know, like she's really coming into her own. You know, she's like standing up. She sees what the machine is, you know, and you know, it's costing her soul, or it's a battle for her soul, right? To really give into this machine, and she just digs in her heels, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I won't be wearing the outfit too.
She basically, I mean, she tried the whole blackmail thing, and she was like, well, how's your company gonna look after I got fired? And one of your own abused me. One of your own basically sexually abused me. How's that gonna look for your company? How's it gonna look for your ratings? See, it's just called using the whole politics. And although she didn't want to do it, it came to the point of her own morality. It's like, I know deep down inside she had to do it, but she had to stand up for herself.
No, I mean,
and then Vought used it.
It's definitely not the Starlight. It's not the Starlight we saw in episode 2 or 3, because also after that scene isn't she's in the elevator with Queen Maud or Queen Maeve, and she's just like, "Hey, I used to believe in you, but I realized someone wrote your script, and you probably didn't do any of that." And then she just walks out and like,
yeah, dude, she went in hard, bro. Like,
but she thought she was hot
shit
until she recognized Madeline took her whole speech and then created a freaking another TV show out of it.
well, that's why she's like the machine. You know, they always win. They do always win, but you know, those little victories. Yeah. I know we're not jumping ahead yet, but those are things that ends up building who she's going to become. So, I guess also like one of the last things we get in last episode, episode 6, is you start to see Madeline's control, the way she's starting to start controlling Homelander and Starlight, and you see Homelander bend. She's obviously able to manipulate him better. Starlight, maybe she could have before the speech, but after that speech, which we didn't touch upon yet, that speech kind of it rings the bell, so to speak.
Yeah. I think Madeline Stillwell's character is expertly crafted. Again, this is one of those big gender swaps that they have from the comic into this world that normally I think would be causing an uproar, because Stillwell in the comics is much more of a Max Lord kind of figure, trying to, manipulate and push pull the strings on the heroes, but like the way that they have Stillwell do it, and they do it through this sexual, maternal control dominance. Like if everything Captain Janeway did was like wrong, like mirror, mirror Janeway.
I cannot imagine that in my head. Okay, superhero PTSD circle. You really learn a lot about the Butcher in that scene.
Yeah,
the Butcher, forget the Butcher. Homeboy,
they broke off that
liquid nitrogen. What?
It snapped off.
But it kind of does answer a question, like, yo, what happened if one of these, like, they kind of touch upon it, right? You always wonder, hey, how do, Lois Lane and Soups get it on, right? Like, he's super powered, bro, and this gives it a real world twist to it. Like, hey, it'll snap your dick off.
Shotgun through the back, I believe, is what they say in Mallrats.
But yeah, like we were saying though, like, man, Butcher really shines through in his fucking determination, right? Like, yo, she's not dead. She's not out. She's still out there, bro. Goes and smashes that fucking headstone. And then you have that circle scene where it's like, no, dude, like, you guys are all fucking doing this wrong. You guys should be out there fighting. You guys should be out there angry as fuck, not sitting here feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
It's
She
like, man,
said,
I
"I
love
wish she
that.
was more gentle on my spine."
Oh, that's right. Oh my god.
Wait, so the thing is, Butcher got mad range though, because he goes from like angry, you know what I'm saying, and then you got the scene where he's sitting down in the park and he's telling the story about what happened to this girl and how Homelander raped her, and like it's real sad, you know what I'm saying? He's shedding tears. And this is the dude who's been nothing but like, you know what I'm saying, macho anger, you know what I'm saying, Hulk smash for now 6 episodes, and then finally you get this moment where he gets real, gets down into his emotions, all into his feels. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, his range is dope. Like he's really making you feel why he's the way he is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think they did a really good casting job, and everyone feels like a genuine person. They all have like flaws, they all have strengths, and then they just kind of live somewhere in the middle. And that's real life. I think that's the beauty of the show, is that you watch it, and I think some people would be like, I know it's based on a comic book, but fuck, this shit's pretty like realistic. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but it is. It is. Normally, I would hear someone say that and be like, "Shut up, man! What the fuck are you talking about?" But I could
Oh
totally
my gosh.
on this.
If I didn't see you saying that and I had my eyes closed, I would picture you having a ponytail in the basement with glasses, like
Exactly.
in a ripped gray
and
t-shirt.
and your hair from last episode, not this one.
Well, there'd be a
Damn.
ponytail in the back. There'd be a ponytail.
Ponytails in the back. Yeah,
The
he's
smallest ponytail of all time, just like you just see the scrunchie. I guess another like just kind of funny side note to this episode was the Heroes for Headliners Con with Haley Joel Osment, and you kind of just see it says headliners, but it's like, what's her name from American Pie? It's like there's no one famous there.
Yeah.
None of them are headliners, and then having him kind of be an inside like tongue-in-cheek joke that he's a headliner because he's not. It's also a former child actor, and then have him be this character who was a child actor in the TV shows. It was kind of cool. It was funny, and his relations with everything. It could have easily been. It's a weird element to introduce at this point, 6 episodes in, because there hasn't really been this kind of like lighthearted comedic element almost.
There really hasn't been, but you're right. There's this level of meta that is repeated. The element is repeated in the second season when you have one elemental playing another elemental,
Interesting.
which is also using the same meta of like us having to know what the world is like in our world.
I mean, let's talk about the flaw. Well, Billy's flaw. Billy he shows character development here, but he also shows a flaw as well too, though. I mean, we see his reason,
Yeah.
and I dig his reason. But the one thing, me personally, I don't like is basically
He's
just
a little
because
too much atrocitus.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got reasonable hate. I like Atrocitus. More Guy Gardner with the red ring, with the red lantern ring. But
I would agree.
yeah, but the
Gives you a
thing
raise.
is, that hate has to make sense. Where it's just like, hey, you know what? Homelander raped my wife, so you should hate all suits. But he doesn't understand the fact that, hey, not every suit is like Homelander.
I didn't think about it like that. No. Well, I appreciate you pointing that out, but
He's
personally.
Magneto. He's Magneto to Huey's Professor X, bro. Like it's all or nothing. You know what I mean? Like that.
But they
Like
do
he
have
looks
that
at Huey.
respect in between them too, though. So yeah, I could see that's a good comparison.
Yeah, and then like he sees everybody as like weaklings because they're so like in their emotions about all the stuff that's going on, and they don't have they lack the gall or the balls to like really drive forward. But he's just as weak because he's just as driven by emotion as anybody else. It's just his emotion is just different, and it's all consumed. He's consumed by it completely, right? Like, and to the point where it's like he's almost the antithesis of them, right? He's almost lost all of his humanity.
He's a reverse Homelander.
He's like the reverse
He's a
Homelander.
reverse Homelander.
Yeah.
Because Homelander thinks humans are weak, but Billy Butcher's like the reverse Homelander because he hates all suits.
Yeah.
And he's not weak at all.
He's not. Yeah.
You know who Huey is in this, right? Huey's Bilbo. You know what I'm saying? No, for real. He's Bilbo Baggins, right? He's the thief. He's the non fighter, non-warrior that's necessary for the mission to be completed. That's who he is, right?
I only don't like it because that calls Frenchie Samwise.
Well, no.
Starlight is
Bilbo,
Samwise?
not Frodo, Bilbo.
Oh,
No, we're talking the Hobbit,
Bilbo.
not Lord of the Rings.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
Wasn't the actor who plays the butcher in Lord of the Rings? I don't know, in
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
Fellowship, right?
He
Carl
was
Urban, yeah.
no, he was
Is he the one that betrayed them, or is he in the second? No, he's in
No,
the second
no,
one.
he's
no,
in the second
he was
one.
one of the
He was
riders of
one of the
Rohan.
guys that he was one. Yeah, there you go.
I think he was
Rohan.
Eomer. I think he was Eomer, the one of the riders of Rohan, the one who got banned.
Let's talk about Butcher's tactics and how his hate is, as far as like, it is understandable again, because let's touch on the fact that Huey talked him into giving, Huey has that human emotion where he can talk Butcher down. And sometimes Huey is wrong. He was wrong about Mesmer, because look what happened.
Yeah.
Mesmer is the whole reason why they're wanted.
That's what's up with humanity. That's the only
It's
problem
flawed.
with humanity. It is flawed.
It's flawed. See, back to the Lord of the Rings reference. Like, I think that Starlight and Huey are the One Ring, bro. Like, their souls are the One Ring. And on one end you have Sauron trying to get that ring back. On the other hand, you have humanity also wanting the ring, but and just a small small group of guys just
I can see that.
get rid of it, man. So
Yeah, good analogy.
My Lord of the Rings nerdom goes deep. I read the Silmarillion multiple times.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
a nice
sorry,
comparison.
bro. I'm sorry.
That's a nice comparison.
Any last thoughts? Anything you want to say?
I just think that everyone made some great points in this episode. Night Thrasher, always, you be killing it.
So Black Noir with the darts and the daggers, that was sick. Like I think go ahead.
But she's going in like raw, right? Like, she's just like, dude, like, all for the compassion. Like, earlier, I think it was it episode 5 where she tried to kill Frenchie, right? But that human compassion, that European compassion that we talked about last episode, it pays off finally, right? Because here he is about to get fucking annihilated, yeah, and she comes in and just clutches it out, and does the ultimate sacrifice as far as he's concerned, right? That she gives up her life to save him and help him get away, and luckily she regenerates, right? Like, I just thought that was really dope, like how it just comes full circle, and it gives us a dope fight. Like, we could finally see, like, for real, like, Noir, like, all this stoic, I don't say shit,
He's
like
very Boba Fett in that scene where they're trying to look stuff up at the fucking at the police commission or whatever,
Yeah.
trying to get background, and he's just there, arms folded, just walking, listening there. It's very Boba Fett.
See, and it's funny you say that, because at the first few episodes, I was like, this guy is like Boba Fett. He's just gonna look cool and not do shit, and finally get to see him do something. It's like, oh, okay, he's not Boba Fett. He's something else. But like, yeah, I just thought that was really well done. Her having the ability to regenerate herself.
They do foreshadow that power, because A Train for sure was dribbling her head off that subway wall for a good 10 minutes.
That's a great way to put it.
Yes. Yeah. He dribbled her head off that subway wall for like 10 minutes, bro. And then they cut away when the people are like, oh, it's A-Train. He leaves, and they go to her, and then all of a sudden she's just standing there like,
what's his
like
name?
the super source in Jurassic Park 3 when they hear the phone and they look back and he's standing there like,
he was dribbling her head like the Bone Collector from And One.
Like Bone Collector, for sure.
I got the Batman feel. I got the Batman feel from Black Noir.
No, for sure. I mean, that's who he is, for sure. But
I didn't think about the Boba Fett one, but now I think about it, I'm like, yeah,
a little bit.
That's true.
Or Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes a little bit more, because it's like he doesn't talk, but he gives that feel like, man, I gotta talk to you.
I'll fuck you up. I'll talk you if I don't want to talk to you.
I'll beat you. I don't want to talk to you. Like, who is you?
Yeah.
That whole introvert, but that mad introvert. I like that though.
Who's your hat representing?
Oh, my boy my oldest son plays baseball at Valley City College in North Dakota. So that's what this
okay.
is.
Yeah. You talking
So I'm
about?
repping my son's baseball team.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm that old. I got a son playing baseball in college.
Damn.
Props. All right. On that note, can't wait for these next 2 episodes, which will be the last episodes of this season. Be a lot of stuff to talk about. I remember we were talking about totally different things in the last episode. Frenchie being dope, stuff like that. Now we're talking about religion and love. I don't know what's going on with this show. It goes all over the place. But I'm super excited to be talking with these guys. Can't wait. We'll finish it off. Get ready for season 2.
The penultimate in the season finale is gonna be lit.
Building.
The ultimate.
All right. On that note, Editor San Antonio, late.
Boba Fresh, San Francisco. Really appreciate everyone. Episodes 5 and 6, The Boys, as we make our way through this. Really enjoy and appreciate everyone. Check us out at We Roll Deep Podcast, the Geek Out page on Facebook, and Good to Geek Out YouTube. Peace.
Nice.
Big Greg, Nino Brown, West Hills.
Jab, Night Thrasher from Los Angeles, California. Signing off.
This is Glenn from Washington State.
All right.